Does that make any sense?
No, that's a great tip. That's a great tip, actually. I'll use it next time. All right, welcome back to another episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. How you doing, E?
Great. It was very busy lately in Montreal, sports-wise. Well, everywhere in the world, really, because well, maybe not the world, but in North America, because it's like that time of year where,
the world. We're international.
Whatever happens here happens everywhere. But yeah, in North America, it's that time of the year where all the major sports are active. So yeah, there was a lot going on. I even saw you. We worked together a few days ago, and because they were desperately in need of help, so they called me. I'm kind of the replacement.
They got that far down the list for the Canadians where they called you. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? No, I was glad. It was good. It was a good game. I'm glad I got to work with you. It's been a while, but you were filming before that. Like me and you each had gigs before the Canadians game. So what was your gig before the Canadians game?
Yeah, I filmed women's soccer playoff game. So I saw Peter Sorellis as well. So yeah, I saw a lot of people on Saturday. Well, I saw him very briefly because he was actually hiring me to film that game for him so that he could go film a CFL playoff game. Because I think that day there was like a female soccer. There was a CFL game. That's all in Montreal or like the greater Montreal. There's like the Habs game, the Montreal Canadiens. But there was also like the East Coast League. What do you call the Lyon? There was the Armada, which is like junior hockey. There was something else. Like there were just so many. Yeah, the Rocket, just the
there was
AHL.
College football playoffs also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So every cameraman we knew was working one or two events on Saturday. It was a big day. I actually only filmed the Canadians, but I had a PBS documentary shoot for acro yoga. It opened my mind and my eyes to this new community, and it's kind of crazy. It's yoga with acrobats in that. So I got this, like, first of all, it's like gymnasts. Balancing on each other in that, and it's crazy to see the strength. And there was all the women that were doing it. It's crazy to see the strength that these ladies had. Like one person's doing like a pose, and the other person's doing a handstand on their shoulders or on their torso and stuff. It was really, really interesting. But yeah, that's where. So I filmed that, and then I went to the Habs game and got to see you. You were filming soccer, so it was a pretty busy weekend. Unfortunately, that same night, the World Series ended in kind of crazy fashion. Game 7, extra innings, blown chances, big saves. Like that game was nuts. It's probably I don't watch a lot of baseball anymore since, my team left. We don't want to get back on that, but seeing that game, wow, that was probably the best baseball game I ever seen in my life.
Yeah. There was so many opportunities. Like, those two guys colliding. I was like, this is it. And then he catches it. I'm like, come on.
No one ever catches that. No one ever. First of all, the fact that the center fielder even got there to run into the other guy and push him out, I'm like, oh, as soon as I saw the other guy running before the center fieldman came in, I'm like, it's over. We won.
Yeah. He looked like, he was all over the place.
Yeah, there's no way he's catching
this is going to fall down. Then the other runs into him. I'm like, oh, perfect. And then still catches it. I'm like, come on.
I thought it was going to hit the wall. I actually thought the ball was going to hit the wall. That's what I was hoping for, because then there's no catch, right? Yeah. But what a crazy game, crazy weekend. It's a great time of year for sports, though. I mean, you got everything happening at the same time. It's that perfect trifecta. Football, baseball, basketball season's opening, hockey's going. It's like, wow. And then all the other sports, soccer, you have MLS, you have the women's, you have all the AHL, EHL, Quebec Major Junior leagues. There's a lot going on. So it's a good time to be a videographer, because it's a good opportunity to maybe get your chance, because they need people and you might get thrown in there.
Exactly. Yeah. So next year in September, start, making some emails, sending some DMs, so that in October you're there.
Yeah, exactly. And it was Halloween too. It was like Halloween. It was everything, man. It was everything.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So what are we talking about today? Today's my show, actually. So
yeah, it's all
I'm
about you
taking
today,
over.
man.
So yeah, you can mute your microphone. I'm going to be talking from now on. But no, obviously, I'll need help. But we're talking about sound design because I'm lazy and I just made a I just made a video on my YouTube channel about sound design, the biggest mistakes, and figured might as well double up and dive deeper into this topic by talking about it on the pod as well. So basically talking about sound design mistakes, typical sort of beginner mistakes, and obviously how to fix them. So do you do a lot of sound design on your videos?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always adding in either real audio, sound effects. Obviously, there's music, and it's an art form of mixing the three. I find, because sometimes you use a sound effect. Like I do it in two ways. There's ways where I use the sound effect where I want you to hear the sound effect, and there's other times where I put a sound effect, but I don't really want you to focus on the sound effect, but it's there. So
Yeah.
when you first start, it's hard to gauge that. You want everybody to notice every sound effect. And then as you kind of be more mature or I guess more pro, you kind of add sound effects in for ambient noise or like silly stuff. Like if I'm doing a drone shot, no matter what, I'm adding in a bit of wind just so you kind of feel it, and it's very, very subtle. You don't really notice it, but you do. So it's that art of when to use it and when not to. And it really boosts your video. And a lot of times, especially with having this platform, we'll get like DMs and stuff, and people will always ask you, this happens to you all the time too. Hey, can you look at my video? Can you tell me what my edit looks like? And a lot of times visually, it's fine. It's perfect. It's great. But my comment usually is, hey, you didn't add any sound effects. And that's always the thing that I feel beginners don't realize. Like the audio is probably more important at some point than the video. The audio is what sells it. It makes you feel like you're there. Those sound effects really enhance your image. But it's not easy to learn how to add that into your video. So that's why I have UE. I just call you and I'm like, listen, man, do you have any sound effects for me?
Yes, I do. Yeah, so this is all a big. This episode is all about promoting my sound effects pack. If you haven't realized already, so there'll be a link in the description below, and we'll talk about microphones as well. But actually, yes, the first. So let's start with the first. The first of three very common mistakes. And the first one is, in my opinion, where you kind of touched on it, but it's basically a lack of atmosphere. Because what happens a lot, especially with beginners, is that you have a beginner camera and you don't really have the money, or you don't realize that you need to invest in a shotgun microphone. So you're just basically recording straight out of the camera. And what usually happens, first of all, if you're outdoors, the wind basically just takes over and all you're hearing is like, and it's just, it's not usable. Or if there's no wind, or if you're indoors, but you're in the stands as a parent, then all you're hearing is the other parents around you screaming and, talking and all that sort of stuff. So basically that atmosphere is not that great. And you don't really use it in your video, and you're like, oh, it doesn't really matter anyway. I'll just put music and I'll put the video over music and that'll do the job. But I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like not putting the atmosphere in your video, it just like, because I watched another video where someone was saying like silence is actually a sound. Like it's like hearing silence actually, it tells something. Like it's just like I'm not gonna notice that everything's on mute. Like I'm seeing all these things happening in front of me and I'm not hearing any sound. Like for a little like 15-second video, that might be all right. But like for anything like longer than that, I feel like I need some atmosphere, and especially if you're gonna add sound effects in there. Like if I'm hearing just music, and then all of a sudden, poof, I'm hearing a kick, and then poof, I'm hearing a dunk. I'm hearing things like that, but nothing else. It's weird. Like it just the whole thing looks a bit fake and cartoonish. So by having the atmosphere in there, it makes everything more real. because at the end of the day, like my point regarding sound design is that it shouldn't be about, being like it's not about like your ego and showing how amazing you are about sound effects. It's about making it the most like believable possible, and it can be very creative as well, but it has to be to a certain extent believable. So by having the atmosphere in there, it helps with that. And yeah, to record it, then you need, like I said, like usually the little in camera microphone probably won't cut it. Like if you're indoors, it can work, but outdoors with wind, it's definitely not going to be great. So just the budget shotgun microphone, even if it's not the greatest one in the world, just like there are like a few on sale on Amazon. Like that's what I was saying. Like I've got that link for that too. But yeah, there are a few on sale. So like, for 75 to $100, you can get like a microphone that at the very least is going to block. It's not going to block 100% of the noise around you and behind you, but it's probably going to block at least 50% of it. And that's going to help you just like capture whatever action is in front of you. Because anyway, you're going to, I don't want you to use the atmosphere at full volume. It's one of those things where it's in the background and it's just something that we know it's there, and we can kind of hear like in the background behind the music, behind the sound effects, but it just needs to be there. So like, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, I don't know how important it is to you. Like, what do you think about everything I just said? But like, yeah, I think to me it's a big mistake to not use atmosphere.
So first, I'll go back to your microphone. I feel like a shotgun mic is a must-have for a sports videographer, because you never know when you want to capture that ambient sound. Like, it sounds silly, but even you want to capture a whistle on a play, the crowd cheering, and you can. And a shotgun mic's perfect because you point in that direction, and that's what it's recording. Now, there are some accessories you can add. Like I think a dead cat is very, very important to have on it. I actually don't have one on mine now, and it's one thing that I noticed when I'm filming in that from wind and other noises. The dead cat does block out a lot of stuff. Amazon does have some great ones. Like, so I picked up a cheap one. I don't know if this is on your list, but I picked up an Andor video recorder interview condenser mic. It was $43. Now, mistake. Okay, it works. It's okay. It's okay. But I've had better shotgun mics. So I bought it because I was in a pinch and it was going to be here the next day. That's the only reason why I bought it. Everything else was 2-3 days. Remember, I had an audio issue a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, I needed this shotgun mic. I picked it up ASAP. I should have waited and just went to the store and got a Rode NTG5 or something a little higher end that's more expensive, because you do notice the quality difference. You do get what you pay for. There are some good ones on Amazon. There are some stuff like that. But when you're buying gear, especially as a freelancer, videographer, entrepreneur, I really noticed that it's like, you know what, just spend the money on what you need and get the highest quality you can afford or can get at that time, than to cheap out and get something that will just get you through for a shoot or two. Because I am looking for a new shotgun mic, because that one's good, but it's not great. And I want great. Now back to your no, it's true. You want great quality all the time. And I have this great image of my audio so. Well, no, it's not great good. Now back to what you said about ambience. So I'm actually in the middle of doing a feature on a player. Okay. And it's talking head stuff. It's his parents, it's his coach, it's all that stuff. But when I cut to practice footage, I don't really add in the background noise. Okay. Because practice footage I find very bland. You hear pucks hitting the board, the glass all the time. That's why I stay away from that. But when I have game footage of him during the interview, even though if his parents are talking about him or he's talking or his coach, when it's game footage, I do put the audio in nice and low, but you can still hear the cheer of a goal or the ooh or the ah, and it really adds to the video, because you feel like, yes, you understand they're talking about this moment. You hear the voice, but while you're watching that clip, it's like you're there. You feel like you're part of that action. It's live. So that's when you use that audio as a tool. And what I did is at least this is my creative approach. When he's practicing, it's just B-roll. It's not important. It's just a filler. It's not, I don't want you to feel emotion. I just want you to see him going through the steps. When it's the game and he's getting a goal or he's getting a pass or he's part of, I would say, Team Canada, he's part of Team Canada, I want you to feel it. So when he's in that Canadian jersey, I'm putting the real audio. So that's where you feel it. So like you said before, the sound of silence, not Simon and Garfunkel, by the way. The kids who are listening to this podcast are like, what the hell is Simon and Garfunkel?
I was going to start singing, but then I don't want us to get a copyright.
That's it. But there are times where you can use that silence to your advantage and times when you can bring in the real audio. And then that's just the way I look at it creatively. Like I might hand in that project and they're like, why didn't you put it? Like, I want to practice a sound too. You know, it really depends on who you're making the video for too. But my creative process is I feel like when I'm doing something like that, I'll use the real audio for the important parts. The practice footage, the real audio sucks. So if I am going to put audio there, I'm going to have to fake it. That's where I'm going to need a sound effect. That's where I'm going to need like a package like you, Sally, where it has like, you know, you have skate, like as much as we joked around about the affiliate link and all that, your hockey package has good stuff. You have skating, you have passing, you have boards, you have shooting, you have a post, you have all those things that you need. Now you could get those same sounds if you are filming the game with a shotgun mic at real time, but not every play. You could be at the other end and the guy hits a post and it's so faint. That's where you throw in that sound effect from the package. So back to what I was originally saying, it's very important to have the sound. It's just to know when to use it and when not to use it. And my creative process for the video that I'm currently working on, for the practice footage, I found like the ambient audio wasn't really helpful because there was too many pucks in the boards and stuff like that. But for the game footage, I used it and it seemed to enhance the video that way because you felt like it was more important. And we are closing with that. So I'm trying to get emotion out of you when the video ends. I want you to feel like, wow, this kid's something special.
No, that makes sense. And I think like more to your point, to me, like if the atmosphere, like it's going to be like, you know, not too at a lower volume and stuff. So like if there is like someone hits the post, I don't want to have to bring up the volume because then all the noise comes up as well. So it's like it's at this level and then all of a sudden something happens and then everything goes up. It sounds weird. So that's where I'd use the sound effects where I can keep my atmosphere, my ambience at the same level throughout. But then when something like important happens, I can just put a sound effects there that's just going to accentuate that little thing, that little moment. And that it doesn't, so that way I don't bring all the noise up as well. It's just that thing. So it's kind of like, yeah, having the real stuff happening, but not too loud. And then the things that I want to have louder, I can just put a sound effect there just to make it stand out, basically. That's how I go about it anyway.
And by the way, the mic that I did order is a 4-star mic. Okay.
Oh,
so I didn't cheap out that much, but there are better ones out there, right? Can I ask you on your list, what mic should someone be looking for for the list, or am I putting you on the spot here?
No, well, I can open it if I can find it. There's a few. There's definitely a few Rodes in there.
Like, because I really like the Rode mics. I had the NTG4 is like killer, but the issue I have with it is it's so long. Like, there's no way I could put that on my camera and go near a glass or something in a hockey game. So you're kind of stuck with what kind of camera do you have? How long is that shotgun mic? And you got to find one that's good for sports videography. So what's something that you would suggest for sports videography?
Yeah, well, there's a few. There's actually a couple. There's a few of those lapel mics as well that are on sale, like the Holy Land Lark M2, the DJI Mic Mini, and the Holy Land Lark M2S. But as far as shotgun microphones, there's a couple Comica. So there's the VM30 and the VM20. The one that I reviewed was the VM40, so it's a little bit bigger, has a few more things, but these ones are pretty good too, from what I understand. I haven't tested them myself, but I've watched videos and reviews and stuff, and they tend to be, you know, for $100. Like the VM20 is 100, VM30 is 189. So and see the VM20 is actually on sale. It's I think it's $130 normally, and it's $100 now. But otherwise, there's the classic Rode microphones. Like I think, like I was saying, there's one at $75. It's the Rode Video Micro 2 Ultra Compact, $79 instead of.
That's a mini jack one, right?
Yes.
Not XLR. Yeah. So the one I purchased was an XLR, by the to just in case. But the mini jack ones are great. Like the Video Go, the NTG3 Video NTG3 mics, the little Rode ones that plug in, mini jack, amazing. It's the XLR ones that are harder to get a good one because they are doing a little bit more work. They're running off phantom power. You need the audio handle.
But you need a proper camera or a second like recording device, like what do they call the H? Those little.
The Zoom media recorders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, one other advantage too of having a shotgun mic on your camera. So I have the FX3, have an audio handle, a second audio handle after I broke the first one. So on the weekend, I plug in shotgun mic, and then I have two people mic'd up doing their activities. I'm recording on 3 channels. Actually, I'm recording on 4 because my shotgun's actually going on 2. And then I split their audio. So they each have their own channel. And then you come back in post and you can really isolate exactly what you're looking for. If I want room tone, I have. If I just want, person A talking, if I just want person B, if I want both the conversations, you have those options. So those are things that really enhance your video too when it comes to audio. But you have to know your settings, because I had an issue last week and I was telling E off cam, I'm like, dude, I don't know what happened. I had to take off my audio handle. Everything kept going to the same channel. I tested, it's fine. I found out what it was. I had to put them each in mono. They were mono stereo where they were going on both channels whenever they talked. Once I put them each on mono, they each got, like, one was assigned to channel 3, one was assigned to channel 4. It was my own setting in the actual DJI mic kit. But when you're on a shoot and you're rushing and you're doing this stuff, like backstory, I show up to shoot an hour early to set up, and so did my people I was interviewing. So I'm trying to set up in a rush and they're just sitting there watching me. And anyway, so it was just easier to take the audio handle off and plug right into the camera. And that is one thing too with audio is sometimes you're going to have hiccups. Sometimes it's not going to come out exactly like you want. So you're going to have to problem solve on the fly. So that's where it's very important to know your equipment, know your settings, try things, check it out. I usually try and test before I go, and it was working fine, but maybe I just, especially on the DJI ones, if you don't lock the screen, it's very easy to change the settings, at least on version 1, which I have. So that's what I guess happened. But anyway, having the 4 audio channels for my shoot on the weekend, very, very handy.
All right. Mistake number. Well, actually, before we move on to mistake number 2, I just wanted to say that sound design is very much so like color correction. Like there's no like exact recipe. So this is all our own sort of advice, and it's very subjective and it's to our own liking, but to each their own. Really, at the end of the day, like I'm just trying to. I give advice on what I think is best, but doesn't mean that there's probably other people doing it completely different, and that's okay. But yeah, just wanted to specify that.
There is too much sound design too, though. Like I don't know, on Instagram, you ever see those? There's like beautiful videos of these guys. It's like shutters and like clock and all this crazy stuff, and they show you their timeline, and there's like 25 sound effect tracks. The video looks amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
But me personally, guys, I don't have the patience to do 25 audio tracks. Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's easier. It's easier to do that than to do like visual effects, and it can have like a very similar impact. Like it's, what I mean? Like it's just like things that you place on your timeline. You might adjust the volume, the duration, but that's about it. Where if you were trying to do like the visual version of that, that's a lot more work in After Effects and keyframes and this and that. So it's.
But what about the guys who are doing both?
Like oh yeah, well,
they're crazy.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm too lazy to do that. I could do it, but I don't have 2 days to do a 15-second reel for you, buddy.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, it's a good point. But like, my advice to like beginners is that you're much better to spend time on like if you don't know anything about visual effects, like sound effects doesn't need really that much training, like sound design. I mean, like it's just you place them and you adjust the volume. That's pretty much the entire thing. So go nuts with that and then improve your videos that way. And then you can move on to visual effects after.
Every sound engineer that we know now doesn't like you because of that sentence. Oh, audio's easy.
Oh no, but like of course you can go crazy and add like, you know, reverb and all these different effects, and or if, you know, if it sounds, you want to make it sound muffled or radio voice of a commentator, like there's all these effects that you can apply. But you know, you can do a pretty cool sound design without adding any effects other than like just placing the actual clips of your assets. Like, but anyway, moving on to the second mistake, which is about sound effects as well. Basically, what I found is the second biggest mistake that beginners tend to do is adding sound effects only on like very obvious moments. So, for example, if it's a soccer game, only adding sound effects when someone's kicking the ball towards the goal. If it's a basketball game, only adding sound effects on dunks or on the ball hitting the net, like on a jumper, and and so on. So like my point about that is that, like I said earlier, if you're not putting atmosphere in your video, that's even worse, because you basically have just music, and then every 15 seconds or 5 seconds maybe there's going to be a random sound from the game showing up, and then just silence, and then another random sound. So first of all, adding the atmosphere helps kind of making everything just feel more normal. But then once you start adding sound effects, if they're going to be a bit more obvious, you want to go throughout. Like, I'm not saying adding, because you can add sound effects to like balls dribbling in basketball. You know, you can add the whoosh sounds to passes in any sport. When, like for soccer, I was saying like kicking when they're trying to score, but also a pass or just someone receiving a pass, like just a little sound for that impact. Like you basically want to focus on any type of impact, either between the ball and whatever, or between two people. So do you want to do it every single time? No. Like that's, like you said, this going to be forever. This is going to take forever. So like the way I see it is, the wider my shot is and the further the action is from the camera, the less I focus on the audio. So like if someone's dribbling far away or in a wide shot where there's a lot of other people around, atmosphere alone is fine. But if I'm zooming in on something, or if I'm having like a close-up shot of action, and then, you know, the ball is like taking almost like a third of my frame and I can't even hear it like touch the ground, that's when I found it a bit weirder. So that's when I'm in a close-up sort of shot, that's when I want to add more sound effects to all these little things, whether it's the ball bouncing, someone catching the ball. Let's say I'm, you know, the quarterback's throwing and I'm zooming in on the wide receiver as he's catching the ball. I want to hear him catch it. You know what I mean? So it's those moments where I'll add more sound effects than just the typical ones. And I think it's all about proximity. Like the closer you are, the more you want to hear it. And like I said earlier, if I was just to raise the volume of the atmosphere, it would be weird to have the volume of all the noise that comes with that just go up and down and up and down. Because just because I got closer to the wide receiver doesn't mean that all the atmosphere behind him, that all of that is not that close to me. Like everything else is still far away. So that's why I'd rather use sound effects to amplify what's going on up close, but keep the atmosphere at a low volume in the background. Does that make any sense?
No, that's a great tip. That's a great tip, actually. I'll use it next time. No, honestly, I really like it, because it makes sense too, right? Because you understand, like, hey, the subject's over there, so why is the sound going to be so high if I'm further back? And obviously, exactly. you're using that shot on purpose to be further back, to show you're further back. So yeah, it makes sense. Now, what I've done in the past with editing, like say hype videos for teams and stuff like that, is I use none of their original audio sometimes because, so say I got a good track, a killer track that's already been remixed and stuff like that. What I will do to speed up my process, because it's more for the players, to get the players hyped up, and it's for a team, say a minor team, okay? While I'm filming those games and you're filming in different arenas, the sound is all over the place, right? Depending on where you are. Like you said, you could be at the far side of the rink and the goal's at the other side. So the cheers are louder or lower, depending on where you are in the rink and that. So I'm eliminating that because I'm working on highlights. This is for them. They don't need the real sound. But what I'm doing is then I'm using a sound effect bank like you have, where I have crowd sounds, cheering, goal horns, all that. And I'm putting all that in. I will, if I can use a real soundbite, I will. But 9 out of 10 times, I'm going with all fake because it actually looks more real. Because when I'm filming hockey, unfortunately, with a shotgun mic and I'm against the glass, the sound bounces. Yeah. So the sound isn't as great as if I was higher up filming from above where I'm catching the on ice sound. So to save time, that's what I've done in the past. And it looks legit. The issue is you have to have multiple arena tracks because you cannot have the same the whole time.
Yeah.
You have to have different ones, and you have to learn when to mix those in with each other and when to have hit the boards and all that. So you have to pay more attention. But I'm only doing like a minute and a half video anyway. So it's not so crazy to add maybe 4 or 5 ambient noise of rinks in there for cheering, banging on the boards, all that stuff. And it's all about the timing. But I'll do that to save time.
I have a similar issue with basketball because at professional level, anyway, there's music during the play. Yeah. So sometimes having that music, and it's quite loud as well. Like it's not just like in the background. So if you want to, if you're cutting like all these different plays, that means, and you have your own music for your video, and then you can hear like that other music playing simultaneously. And as you're cutting from clip to clip, that music track changes all the time. So it's just too much. So you can't really use too much of the game atmosphere at a professional basketball game anyway. So yeah, you do have to rely more on sound effects to basically create your own atmosphere.
And that's where, honestly, having a set place in your hard drive or on your computer where you have your sports sound effects and you know where to go, or even have it where when you open up a project, they preload in there already. Mm-hmm. It just saves you time. You know what you have. Yes, there might be the odd time where you're like, oh, actually, I need something different, because there are no rules. You don't have to use a hockey sound effect in a hockey video. You could use a golf shot instead of the slap shot, someone hitting a golf ball, and change it up a bit for the impact. There are ways to have fun with it, but having all your sound effects organized is just going to save you time, make your life easier. And the more you get used to it, the faster you get at it and the better you get at it.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. Like, it's like being creative with it is important, where, like you said, like if you look at my pack, for example, there's a rugby pack and there's a football pack, but all the tackles from, you can use both for both sports, like for any contact sport, really. Maybe in the hockey, because it's a bit different. It sounds a bit more different, but yeah, and you can sound like, if you're, for example, I've used when the quarterback like throwing the football, I just want to have like a quick sort of whip or whoosh kind of sound. I've used a golf swing just for that, like when he's throwing the ball. And yeah, you can be creative like that, and you can go even further and just like add sound effects that don't really apply to the moment, but are creatively make sense. Like, for example, like if you want to put a player on fire, and then you'll add sound of fire, just like a cracking and like a fire camp type thing. Or if a player, I don't know, he just did like something big, and you'll rev like a car engine or something like that as he's celebrating. Like, just like these little things that are obviously fake, but make sense with what you're saying, what you're seeing. And just, yeah, it's all about just amplifying the moment. And as long as it makes sense to what you're looking at visually, it's all good. And it just, it's a bit different, and it adds a bit of, spice.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I saw one the other day on Instagram where it's a running back, and he makes his cut. They put a car a car sound, like as if he peeled out and went, you know, and it was cool. It was effective. It was like, and it was creative. And that's our job, is be creative, have fun, and try things. And you know what, just because you thought of a sound effect, like, I'm going to use this car rev here, and it doesn't work, it might work later on. So always evolve with it and always try new things. And there's no rule that says you can only use the hockey sound effect and the hockey package, or the football and the football, you know. And that's where you get to build these things. And you know, you see it a lot in movies. Okay, so say Star Wars, for instance, you know, when they had the lightsaber and all that, we know that sound as a lightsaber. But the guy who created that sound, that was not a lightsaber, you know, that was something rubbing two other things together, and he created that noise. And that's how sound effects really are. It's you give it the value, you give it the purpose, and you really focus what that sound is on that image.
And you can go a bit like a theme. Like, for example, if the team is called like the Lions, or any type of feline, the you know, the Jaguars or whatever, like you could have, like, if the player is screaming, you could have like a big roar come out, like, instead of just like a poorly recorded scream that's probably clipping in your microphone. Might as well just put like a big lion going, and just like, and you zoom in on his face going in slow-mo. Everybody's happy, especially me.
That's it. No, but honestly, I have seen that too, and it's good. We want those like, especially feline clubs, like with lions and tigers and all that. Mm-hmm. That's a great sound effect, and it makes it fun too.
Yeah, and it's just and it's creative, and it adds value, and that's what I mean by, like, it's a lot easier to do that than to create like a fake tiger animated, coming into the screen, or turn the player into a tiger, all that sort of stuff. Like, that would take me probably weeks, but adding a sound effects takes me seconds. So yeah,
there you go.
I'm all about shortcuts.
That's it. No, but working smarter, especially in our field, it saves you time. And if you are charging somebody and you're spending way too much time, you're making less money. So, and you want a good product, and sound effects will help you speed up that process.
The third mistake is kind of similar, like we already kind of touched on it, but is specifically to like volume. Because I see a lot of beginners, like, that's the main thing I notice when they start using sound effects, is that, first of all, sound effects, just like LUTs, when you get them, they are at a high volume or high intensity for a reason, because you don't want to get them at a low volume and then have to push them up and introduce noise. So you get them at a high volume with the intent that, like, once you put in your video, you're going to take it lower to wherever you need it. But a lot of people just put the sound effects in, don't touch the volume at all. So you get this, whether there is atmosphere or not, but then when there's a sound effects, you can definitely notice that it's a sound effect, because it's like, bang, it's super loud. It comes out of nowhere. And it's just, it's just too obvious and just too loud anyway, just compared to the audio of everything else. So, and people make that mistake because either they just don't think about mixing that much, or because they're so excited about their sound effects that they want the sound effect to have like a big impact. They want to make sure that everybody hears it. They think that the louder, the better, which is not the case. Like I said at the beginning, like, the point of all this is not to be loud. It's to be believable. So yeah, the third mistake is to just go way too loud with the sound effects. So my idea is that, like I was saying, the further away it is, the softer it should be, the more kind of blended in with the atmosphere it should be. And the closer it is to you, or the tighter your shot is, the louder your sound effects should be, because now you're up close. It's the same as in real life. Like, if you're far away and you're talking at a normal volume, I won't really hear you that much. But if you're up close, I'm going to hear you pretty loud. So it's to mix your audio to represent that, and so that everything makes sense, everything is believable, everything is natural, and it makes your video much more immersive as well that way. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, listen, you don't want your sound effects too intense. My rule of thumb is, and I'll give you both what I do with both processes, LUTs and sound effects. LUTs, I'm always maybe 30% is where I start. I always bring the LUT down to 30% and then I'll adjust from there. Sound effects, I always go minus 10 dB just to start. And then from there, I'll adjust higher or lower depending because they do come in hot. And if I've ever left a sound effect in like full blast and I'm watching my video, I'm like, whoa, I'm like, okay, I got to lower that. But I try to put it right away to minus 10 dB and then I adjust from there. They do come in loud, which is, it's easier to lower a sound effect than to higher it. So, you know, I start with it low and then I'll adjust from there. But everything else you said, honestly, is bang on. Like I agree. So I have no rebuttal, no nothing. I think you do a great job. And back to the sound effect package. It's important to have those packages, especially when you start, because it saves you time of looking. But that's when you can play with the volume. You could try. That's what the opportunity is. You have everything in one spot. You drag and drop, super easy, and just adjust the volume accordingly. And, you know, shift it over. Sometimes, depending on the shot, you don't have to have the sound effect exactly when the moment happens. I feel like a couple frames before sometimes, or a couple frames after, actually works better depending on the image. But it doesn't have to be the exact moment.
Oh, well, let's talk volume overall. Actually, that's probably a good way to finish it, to just like have a quick audio mix conversations. Like, obviously it depends on how loud you record your stuff, but like I know, like personally, I try to mix everything at a minus 6 dB, so for my like final output. So like my music, because the music, you want it to be intense enough so that, you know, it drives the momentum, and you don't want the music to be too soft, especially if it's like a fast cut hype type video. So like my music will probably be at about minus 9.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm a minus 10 kind of guy. You're a minus 6. I was like, really? But no, okay. It makes sense. Music,
like the full mix is at minus 6, but like the music will probably be at minus 9, and then the atmosphere again depends on how loud you recorded it, but it's probably going to be somewhere between minus 15 and even like minus 21 dB, somewhere in that range. And then my sound effects, kind of like you, I'm probably like between minus 9 and minus 12. And I'll kind of, sprinkle them around, making more of an effort in my big moments, obviously, the big plays. And like I said, when I zoom in. It's about having everything so that there's a good balance. Like the music is clear, loud enough so that it's driving the momentum of the video. The atmosphere is there in the background just to be heard, and that's it. Doesn't need to be too loud. Like it's in the background and that's it. And then the sound effects are just there to accentuate little moments here and there. Is that roughly what you do?
Yeah, the only thing I notice is you're an odds guy, I'm an evens guy. So I usually keep my number at even minus dB. I noticed you're like 9. I'm like at minus 10.
Yeah, I usually go in threes. I'm like minus 3, minus 6, minus 9, minus 12. I don't know why, but yeah.
It's a TV thing. TV thing is minus 3 always. For sure. But I don't know. But now that it's all for web stuff, I always go with even numbers. Also, because my wife makes us always watch TV volume on an even number, I think. So it's like programmed in my head. There are some tools, though, that you can use to compress your audio and get your levels good, too. Like there's auto ducking. Yes. There's also, when I used to do TV spots all the time, I used Adobe Audition, and I had certain presets. So I'd have one always for voiceovers that would compress the voice so they would even it out. And then on my final mix, I would always mix manually, and then I would compress everything so everything was nice and even on my mix. Yeah. Those are options that you can use to get your audio even. It is tricky audio levels right now because no one watches it on the same platform.
Device. Yeah.
Back when we were doing TV spots, we knew exactly what we needed to do for audio because there was broadcast standards. YouTube, cell phones, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that. There are no standards. Okay. So if you are not sure about how something sounds after you're outputting that, you could always cheat. Send it to your phone and review it on your phone or whatever your listening device is, and kind of adjust from there if you're really not sure how to manage your levels. Obviously, you and I have been mixing audio for a long time because of doing TV spots and that. So it's a little easier for us to know kind of where we want talking heads to be, sound effects. You got a music track, you got a bunch of stuff going on at the same time. But for someone who is starting out, then you know what, take the device you're going to be watching your videos on and test it out there first and see how it is, and then find your sweet spot too. Because just because I say, it has to be -10, he says, oh, -9, it might not be the same for you. So test it on what you're going to watch it on, and then adjust from there.
It's a perfect place to finish, and maybe remind people that I do sell a sound effects pack that is specific to sports, with 12 different sports and even 4 bonus categories.
All right, so now. I'll pump your tires a bit. So he gave me his sound effect package probably about a year ago, because I was teasing him for a free package, and honestly, I use it whenever I do sports videos and that. I use it all the time. I did a TV spot the other day for Women's Worlds, and guess what? I used one of your hockey sound effects for a post shot, because the TV footage I was using did not capture it. So I threw it in -10 dB, and it was perfect. And it saved me time. I knew already going in that I had that sound effect. And that's where sound effect packages like that really come into hand. Because if you're filming basketball or rugby or football, whatever, you already know you have the basics. Yes, there might be some stuff that you want to add in later, but you have a great starting point. And that's where a package like that really, really comes in.
Yeah, and I was just looking to make sure I wasn't saying anything that wasn't true, but I was just going to add as well, there's a promo code that you can use, SFX20, for a 20% discount. So how good is life?
Perfect. All right, well, I guess that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare.
There you go.
Take care, guys.